Hello and welcome back to AI Reviews. I am your host Lee. Today we are having an AI review Rebel Moon Scargiver. You may have caught my real review of Rebel Moon Part 1, and you know that I wasn't the biggest fan. It had some good parts and some bad parts that just didn't work for me. So why do an AI review, which means I have to do a real review of Scargiver? Well, because I'm going to give Snyder a chance to tell me the whole story in original release format. But like always, an AI reviewed it 4 times, ranging from loving to hating it. Let's see what they think.
Rebel Moon Scargiver is not just a film, it's a journey into a universe that captivates your imagination from the very first scene. This cinematic masterpiece is a blend of fantasy, adventure, and a touch of magic that leaves you spellbound. Right from the start, the visual aesthetics of the movie set a high bar. The filmmakers have created a world that's rich in color and texture, making every frame a piece of art. The attention to detail in the set design and costumes adds layers to the storytelling, bringing the world of Rebel Moon Scargiver to life with remarkable authenticity. The special effects in this movie deserve a standing ovation. They're not just visually stunning but are also integral to the narrative, enhancing the storytelling without ever overshadowing it. The seamless integration of practical and digital effects creates an immersive experience that is both believable and mesmerizing. Character development is one of the strongest aspects of Rebel Moon Scargiver. Each character is meticulously crafted, with backstories and personalities that are rich and nuanced. The protagonists in particular are a delight to follow. Their growth throughout the film is not just compelling but also emotionally resonant. The way they navigate challenges and evolve is both inspiring and heartwarming. The storyline of the film is a tapestry of intrigue, drama, and heart. It's a narrative that keeps you engaged from start to finish, with twists and turns that are both surprising and satisfying. The pacing of the story is masterful, blending action-packed sequences with moments of emotional depth. This balance ensures that the film is not just entertaining but also a deeply moving experience. World-building in Rebel Moon Scargiver is executed with a level of finesse that's rare in films today. The universe created in this movie is not just a backdrop for the action, it's a character in its own right. The cultural depth, historical richness, and mythological elements are woven together to create a setting that's as intriguing as it is believable. The music score of Rebel Moon Scargiver is another highlight. It complements the film beautifully, accentuating the emotional beats and enriching the overall experience. The score is both evocative and enchanting, adding an extra layer of depth to the film. In essence, Rebel Moon Scargiver is a testament to the power of storytelling and the magic of cinema. It's a film that transports you to another world and takes you on an unforgettable journey. For anyone who loves movies that are not just seen but felt, Rebel Moon Scargiver is an absolute must-watch. It's a celebration of imagination, creativity, and the enduring power of a well-told story.
Rebel Moon Scargiver presents a cinematic experience that aims to blend ambitious storytelling with visually stunning imagery. As I settled in to watch this film, I was immediately struck by the sheer scale of its ambition. This movie doesn't just aim to tell a story, it endeavors to create an entire world, and in many ways, it succeeds admirably. From the outset, the visual elements of Rebel Moon Scargiver are nothing short of breathtaking. The cinematography captures the vastness and beauty of the film's universe with a vividness that is truly captivating. Each frame is meticulously crafted, showcasing a level of detail that is both impressive and immersive. The special effects are another high point, seamlessly blending with the live-action elements to create a cohesive and believable world. The narrative of Rebel Moon Scargiver is ambitious, weaving together multiple storylines and characters. At its core, the film explores themes of heroism, sacrifice, and the struggle against overwhelming odds. The protagonists are well drawn, each with their own distinct motivations and character arcs. Their journeys are engaging, and the film does a commendable job of making us care about their fates. However, while the film excels in its world-building and visual spectacle, it does stumble somewhat in its pacing and narrative coherence. There are moments where the story feels rushed, with certain plot points not given enough time to develop fully. This occasionally leads to a feeling of narrative disjointedness, where the connection between scenes isn't as smooth as it could be. The performances in Rebel Moon Scargiver are generally strong, with the cast delivering convincing portrayals of their characters. The emotional beats of the film are well acted, providing a necessary human element to the grandiose setting. However, some characters are not as well developed as others, leaving a few performances feeling a bit one-dimensional in comparison. One aspect of the film that deserves special mention is its score. The music is both haunting and uplifting, serving as the perfect complement to the film's visuals. It enhances the emotional impact of key scenes, adding an additional layer of depth to the narrative. In conclusion, Rebel Moon Scargiver is a film that offers a lot to admire. Its strengths lie in its stunning visuals, ambitious world building, and some strong performances. While it does have its flaws, particularly in pacing and narrative cohesion, these do not significantly detract from the overall experience. It's a film that provides both a visual feast and a thought-provoking story, making it a worthwhile watch for fans of the genre.
Rebel Moon Scargiver embarks on a journey to create an expansive and visually stunning universe, but it's a journey that, while ambitious, is not without its pitfalls. As an analytical viewer, I appreciate the film's attempt at grandeur, but it's crucial to dissect both its achievements and its shortcomings to provide a balanced perspective. The visual presentation of Rebel Moon Scargiver is undoubtedly its strongest suit. The cinematography is exceptional, offering a plethora of visually arresting scenes that are both imaginative and beautifully rendered. The use of color and lighting creates an atmosphere that is both otherworldly and mesmerizing. Additionally, the special effects are top-notch, seamlessly integrated to enhance the fantastical elements of the film without ever feeling overdone or distracting. However, where Rebel Moon Scargiver shines in its visual spectacle, it falters in its narrative execution. The story is ambitious, perhaps overly so, attempting to weave together multiple complex plot lines and characters. This ambition, while commendable, results in a narrative that feels overcrowded and, at times, disjointed. Key plot points are rushed, and character development is sacrificed in favor of advancing the story, leaving the viewer wanting more depth and coherence. The character development, or lack thereof, is a significant issue in Rebel Moon Scargiver. While the protagonists are introduced with much fanfare, their arcs are not fully realized. This lack of depth prevents the audience from forming a meaningful connection with them, which is crucial in a story that hinges on the viewer's emotional investment in the characters' journeys. Another aspect where the film struggles is its pacing. The attempt to cover too much ground in a limited timeframe results in a movie that feels both rushed and uneven. Certain scenes that deserve more exploration are cut short, while others linger longer than necessary, disrupting the flow of the narrative. On a positive note, the performances in Rebel Moon Scargiver are generally solid. The actors do a commendable job with the material they are given, bringing a level of emotional authenticity to their roles. However, the lack of character depth does limit the scope of their performances. The film's score is one of its redeeming qualities. It is thoughtfully composed and effectively used, enhancing the emotional and dramatic moments of the film. The music adds a layer of richness to the experience, often compensating for the narrative's weaknesses. In summary, Rebel Moon Scargiver is a film that aims high but doesn't quite hit the mark. Its visual splendor is undeniable, but a convoluted narrative, underdeveloped characters, and uneven pacing prevent it from reaching its full potential. It's a film that offers a feast for the eyes but leaves the mind and heart somewhat unsatisfied.
Rebel Moon Scargiver tries to soar among the stars but ends up lost in its own nebula of pretension and half-baked ideas. In an era where cinematic achievements are measured by how many visual effects one can cram into each frame, this film stands as a prime example of style over substance, a visual spectacle that's as hollow as it is shiny. Let's start with the visuals, since that's all this film seems to care about. Sure, the cinematography is impressive if you're into endless CGI landscapes and over-the-top special effects. It's like the filmmakers threw every possible idea at the screen, hoping something would stick. The result is a chaotic mess that's more likely to induce a headache than a sense of wonder. It's a classic case of filmmakers relying on visual effects to mask a lack of narrative depth. Speaking of narrative, the story of Rebel Moon Scargiver is as convoluted as they come. It tries to weave multiple plot lines and characters into an epic tapestry but ends up tangled in its own complexity. The story is not just hard to follow, it's downright nonsensical at times, with plot holes you could fly a spaceship through. And the pacing? It's like a roller coaster that's lost its brakes, careening from one scene to the next without giving the audience a moment to breathe or care. The character development, or the lack thereof, is another glaring issue. The protagonists are as flat as cardboard, with about as much emotional depth. They're walking clichés, spouting lines that are supposed to be profound but end up sounding trite and forced. It's hard to care about the fate of characters when they feel like they've been plucked from a generic character generator. Now, let's talk about the performances. It's not entirely the actors' fault, given the lackluster script they had to work with, but that doesn't excuse the wooden and uninspired performances that plague this film. It feels like everyone involved is just going through the motions, waiting for the director to yell cut so they can collect their paycheck and move on to something better. The film's score is the only aspect that's not completely forgettable, but even that is overshadowed by the film's myriad other issues. It tries to add emotional weight to scenes that are devoid of any real feeling, like putting a band-aid on a gaping wound. In conclusion, Rebel Moon Scargiver is a textbook example of how not to make a sci-fi epic. It's a film that's more interested in showing off its budget than telling a coherent story or developing interesting characters. It's a soulless, mind-numbing experience that's best avoided, unless you're in the mood to witness a spectacular failure of cinematic storytelling. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Tomorrow I have a real review for Lisa Frankenstein coming out, and if any number ones for comics come out that I get, I will also do a review of those as well. Next week should be Madame Web and probably at least one AI review.